In-laws can be a lot to handle, and if you have a good relationship with your in-laws, you may just want to be counting your lucky stars after listening to today's first story. G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmITheA. Now, if you love today's bloody good stories, I want you to sit back, relax, smack that like button once, not twice, and enjoy today's bloody good content. Let's go. Am I the asshole? I refuse to cook for in-laws. So my 28 male, pregnant wife, 28 female, invited her parents over for dinner. We have this rule in place ever since we started living together 8 years back: the one who invites gets to cook for everyone. Whoever invites someone over to our home will have to cook and clean up after cooking for the night. This is because the dinners are huge when guests come over, and it is a lot of work. This applies to both me as well as her. So my wife was feeling lonely since I've been having a lot of work lately, and she really wanted to meet up with her family, so she invited them over. Today she started experiencing fatigue and nausea, so I told her to tell her family that she's sick, and today would not be a good time for them to come over. She then said that I could try and cook the dinner for all of us. I refused because she was expecting a lot of dishes, and it's hard work and time-consuming to prepare that much. I also have a 9-hour shift today at my work. She wants me to prepare a meat dish, chicken/shorshey mark/mutton nihari, a pasta dish, a rice dish, biryani and pulao, a soup/stew, which is like a dal, rajma curry, etc., fries, pakor, finger foods, namkeen, a sabzi, which is cooked vegetables with spices, and a dessert, carrot halwa or rabdi, as well. Not to mention vegan options for her sister. The pasta is for her brother since he is a picky eater and he loves junk food. She's mad at me now. Am I the asshole? Edit 1. We're from India, so consider that as the basis of the unreasonable requests by her parents. Edit 2. She can definitely invite my parents or her friends who are more flexible and accommodating, but she's missing her parents and only wants them to fill her gap of loneliness. She's not very close to them, but is constantly seeking approval of them. Edit 3. I wouldn't actually mind cooking 1 or 2 dishes for her family, but they expect elaborately set up meals out of us, and they'll leave if it's not up to their standards, which will make my wife feel worse. I am not mentally prepared to handle the drama that her parents will bring to dinner on a workday. Edit 4. I've told her before that they are never going to be accepting and she should stop trying to please them, but she insists on trying her hardest. However, I am sick of tolerating their barbs and insults directed at my family status and wealth, so I'm not completely on board with the idea of them coming over. Edit 5. And we made these rules because Indian men usually invite random people thoughtlessly without understanding how much work goes into prepping before guests arrive in India. Women usually end up having to do all the work alone. That's why we decided that if you cannot handle all the work alone, you shouldn't be inviting anyone at all. Women benefit by this rule more than men because it's the men who just invite people as they please. And edit 6. If she goes to visit them too often, they make remarks like, "A woman's home is that of her husband's after marriage. Doesn't your husband have enough money to even make a dinner for us? This is why we told you not to marry him." OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I might be the asshole for enforcing the rule even when she's pregnant. Now in the comments, not the asshole. Rules are nice and fine, and sometimes it's okay to break them for your pregnant wife, but springing a last-minute multi-dish dinner on a busy person is not okay. And why can't they come over to keep her company without needing to eat dinner? Why can't they bring food for her? She's pregnant and you're busy. Why can't everyone order takeout? And editing to note that this was posted before OP's edits, it doesn't change my final ruling, but I understand OP has answered the questions that I posed. Not the asshole, but only because of the amount of food required. That's a ton of work. If it were a smaller dinner to prep, I'd say suck it up for your wife. As an alternative, I would suggest asking her family to switch to potluck due to you having work plus your wife feeling unwell. I think any reasonable person would understand. And OP replies, her brother is lactose intolerant, her mother has a nut allergy, her father has high cholesterol, So again, more dietary restrictions. And her sister is vegan. To order that much food from outside would burn a hole in our pockets. If not for so many dietary restrictions, I'd have cooked a one-pot meal or something. So either cancel or ask them to bring food, or just prepare one big dish that meets all requirements. OP replies, a one-pot meal is too simple for my wife, which is why I asked her to cancel it. Well, she's going to be in for a shock once the little one arrives. Simple will be all there is time for. Not the asshole. The compromise here should have been you cook one vegan meal for everyone and voila, or get takeaway easy peasy. Expecting you to cook 4 dishes, fries, finger foods, and a dessert after your 9-hour work shift just ain't realistic. As in, there's not much time to make all of that and have dinner at a reasonable hour. This is an all-day prep meal that your wife wants you to make. It is almost overkill. And just how many people are invited? That is an insane amount of food. Also, with them leaving if it's not up to their standard, it'd be a waste of time, money, and food. Not the arsehole OP. After reading the edits, her family sounds like insufferable people on a power trip, and the wife is never going to be happy constantly trying to get their approval. Our next post is titled, Am I the Arsehole for not accommodating my brother's vegan fiancé? Full disclosure, I do eat meat, eggs, and dairy. That being said, I'm lazy and prepping and cooking meat takes more work than I'm willing to do a lot of the time, so I've built up a pretty okay repertoire of vegetarian and vegan meals. That's why I volunteered to cook last night for a small family dinner, even though I would normally never. I love my mum to bits, but if the first step isn't browning a pound of ground beef, she's a little lost on what to make. This is all a thing because my brother has recently gotten engaged to a vegan woman. None of us have really spent a lot of time with her due to the pandemic, and generally just having our own lives. The times I have spent with her have been perfectly nice. I had thought that this would also be perfectly nice too. So I did my best. I put together a Dijon vinaigrette salad, pasta tossed with roasted asparagus and cherry tomatoes, and because this is America where carb on carb doesn't have to be just a dream, some bread that I frickin' vetted to make sure that it didn't have milk or eggs in it. She could eat every single thing that I served. At least I thought so. We sit down, plates are dished, she has questions. Whatever, fair enough. I can imagine that she's been in situations where things seem safe to eat, but surprise, surprise, there's honey in the salad dressing or just something like that. Reassurances are made, I did my homework, but she has other complaints. You roasted the veggies in olive oil? There's olive oil in the salad dressing? The pasta isn't whole wheat? This is white bread? Yes, vegan, all of it. But not stripped down to as few calories as possible, and now she won't eat it. She just sat there and tore one of the rolls up into tiny pieces until the table was cleared. My brother texted me later that night about how screwed up it was that she had to go home hungry, and this is where I may be the asshole. I replied something in the effect of saying that I had thought to cook to accommodate veganism, not an eating disorder. He told me to go F myself, which again, fair. Now I imagine a cold war is brewing, and my mom is inevitably going to get sucked in. I also could have tried to make something healthier, though I don't think what was served was that bad. Am I the arsehole? Now in the comments, not the arsehole. It seems rude that you cooked a vegan dinner and she didn't eat any of it. What's the problem with olive oil? And OP replies, not sure, but I assume that she's very conscious of what she eats, and anything that has fat in it is a no-go. That, or she just thought that the food looked gross. I'm not gonna push it. Olive oil is super beneficial and tasty, and what you prepared sounds really great. She is just super picky, and that is not your problem. I know. If you're vegan, your body needs fat from somewhere, and olive oil is probably one of the best things for it. In fact, most vegan diets recommend a fat of some kind like olive oil due to the omegas included, and other than that, there's pretty much only corn or sunflower oils that people use, so what did she expect? She sounds entitled and nasty. Next time just let her cook and don't even try to accommodate her anymore. It sounds like a no-win situation with her. I'm not saying this is the case for the fiancé, but when you want to restrict your diet but you don't want people to question why you're restricting your diet, saying that you're vegan or vegetarian is a good cover. Again, not saying this is the case for the fiancé because there could be other reasons she's acting this way, it's just that olive oil is very healthy. In my nutrition class, the textbook talked about Greek people drinking a glass of olive oil a day. This is why it stuck out to me. Ding ding ding. When I was deep in my anorexia, I went vegan. It was such a convenient cover for why I didn't eat anything, and since I worked as an executive surrounded by men who wanted to do every meeting at a steakhouse, no one questioned when I'd get a chunk of iceberg lettuce. Now, if I'd been the person in the post, I absolutely would have forced myself to eat what was prepared, even a small bit, and been exceptionally thankful that they tried to accommodate me. This girl is either too deep into disordered eating to recognize her behavior, or she is just an asshole. Why not both? You're not the asshole. His girlfriend is out of line for going to a dinner without bringing her own food or explaining her dietary preferences ahead of time. They obviously should have hosted. Your brother is way, way, way out of line for not reaching out to apologize to you for how dinner went down. Sure, your quip was irreverent, but it was right, and you didn't say it until your brother came at you like you did something wrong by cooking an entire vegan dinner to accommodate his boo. Our next post is titled, "Am I the asshole for walking out on dinner with my girlfriend's parents after they said my brother and his husband were not good role models?" I'm male, 19 years old, and I was a late-in-life baby. My older brother, 38 male, was 19 when I was born. Our parents died in a car accident when I was about 6 to 7 years old, and ever since then, my older brother and his partner, now my brother-in-law, got custody of me and raised me. They were the best dads I could ever have, and they always did their best to take care of me. Well, for the last 2 months, I've been dating this girl, Sarah. I really like her a lot, and she's met my brother and brother-in-law and everything was fine, and she didn't seem homophobic, but she hasn't wanted me to meet her parents until recently. 2 weeks ago, she told me that they were coming to visit her this week, and that she finally wanted me to meet them. She told me that she didn't want me to tell them that my brother had a husband who helped raise me, because her parents wouldn't like that. I told her I wasn't gonna lie on my brother like that, and she finally relented on it and told her parents herself. The day of the visit yesterday, we all went to a steakhouse for dinner, and for the most part, the evening was fine. And we had okay conversations until her parents got to talking about how I was raised. They started saying things like how nice of a young man I was despite the shortcomings of my home life, or that life couldn't have been easy living with my perverted brother and his friend, and that they were glad that I didn't pick up any bad habits. After they started, I just saw red, and I slammed $40 on the table for my meal and just walked out and left. Sarah called me multiple times today telling me that I shouldn't have reacted like that, and that I overreacted, and that she told me her parents wouldn't like it. She was mad at me for leaving her there at the restaurant and that I was rude. I asked my brother and brother-in-law about it, and they told me they loved me for it, but that it was rude and I probably could have handled it better than that. Am I the asshole? Now in the comments, not the asshole. Sarah has accepted, made excuses for, and outright defended her parents' bigotry. Sarah should be ashamed. You were beyond respectful to people who showed no respect to you and your family. You did the right thing by implicitly defending your brother and his partner. Ditch Sarah. She's shown you the type of people that she supports. Opie, your actions show character, not lack of it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Especially because you paid for your meal. You kept all the onus on them. They said something uncompromisingly bad, you gave back the gift of dinner. It's not like they were even out the cost of a night out with you. They simply fortified the pleasure of having you listen to them spout bullshit. This is exactly how free speech works. You cannot forcefully stop these people from spouting their bullcrap, but they cannot force you to listen to it. They are free to talk as much as they want, to the empty chair that you were sitting, assuming the chair doesn't get mad and walk out too. Stand by your principles, OP, and be the change. I'm kinda picturing the furniture from Beauty and the Beast storming off in a huff. All those closets and tat racks and ottomans righteously offended like, I don't have to take this. Not the asshole. Tell your girlfriend that you're surprised that she turned out so well, having been raised by people like that, and that you're sorry that she had such a challenging home life. It couldn't have been easy for her growing up with homophobes. And our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for spending money I saved for a trip with my dad when he wanted to include his stepdaughter? Back in February, I, 17 female, asked my dad if we could take a weekend trip for Halloween to this haunted house event that the two of us have talked about going to before. He said he wasn't sure that he could afford it, but if I saved enough money, we could go. And he was going to cover some of it too. I actually saved up the money by early September and told him as much. He then brought up the subject about how cool it would be to include his stepdaughter, 14, and it would be a nice bonding trip for all three of us. He asked me how I felt about that, and I told him I didn't want to include her. I wanted it to just be the two of us. He asked why, and I told him we never do stuff just the two of us anymore, and I want that time with him. He said that I get plenty of time with his wife, and I said she's not him, that I wanted more time for him and me, not everyone together, not me and his wife or me and his stepdaughter. He told me, okay, it could be just us. Then his wife blabbed because he didn't tell her that I had said no. Then his stepdaughter wanted to go, and he told me he couldn't say no to her after that. So I told him to forget it. I bought myself some stuff with the money that I had saved, and this upset my dad and his wife and his stepdaughter. My dad and his wife told me that I responded like a child instead of an almost adult. His stepdaughter said I was so mean. Why would I do that? She was looking forward to spending the weekend with us at the haunted house. I told my dad I saved it for the two of us to go alone. But he has made it clear that he doesn't want that time with just me anymore, and since that's how he feels, I am sick and tired of time with his family. That he shouldn't worry because I will be gone soon anyway, and he can spend all the time he wants with them, and the childish and mean one won't be living here in a few months. He then asked why I couldn't just wait and do something else with him. Why spend the money? Why break the plans like that? Well, it's not the first time that I've tried to do something with him, and he automatically involved everyone, or just his stepdaughter in it. And I even told him that I missed hanging out with just him and me. It doesn't do crap. I know his wife is upset because her daughter is hurt, because she knows how badly I didn't want her there, and she's also not going now. Am I the asshole here? Now in the comments, not the asshole. You shouldn't be covering any of the costs of this trip at all, and your dad and his wife are being assholes by downplaying your need for one-on-one time with your father. Not the asshole. The money is yours, and you're entitled to spend it on what you want. You aren't obligated to participate in a trip with your stepsister, let alone pay for it from your pocket. It's good that you stood your ground and didn't let them guilt trip you or force you. Going to the trip with a 14-year-old can also restrict the scary activities which you'll be able to participate in. You have to take that into account. I'm not quite sure that this place suits a kid, although it does depend on her character and endurance. I hope that you're pleased with what you bought. At least it stays. The experience of the haunted house is over. Not the asshole. Kids in all families are allowed to want one-on-one time with their parents. It is good and healthy and important, and it's even more important in blended families. I'm sorry your dad reacted this way. Even if your kids are the absolute closest BFFs, it is still important for the parent-child bond to have one-on-one time. One-on-one time ensures the child or adult understands that they are important enough that you will set aside time in which they have your full attention. All people, but especially kids, need to know they are important to the people they care about, and frankly, one-on-one time is one of the best and only ways to do this. When the dad tried to include the stepsister, he effectively told OP she was not important enough for one-on-one time, and telling your kid they're not important to you makes you the asshole. That being said, it does sound like OP's relationship with her stepsister and stepmother notice she never calls them hers, is a real issue, possibly one which requires family counseling. In the 70s, there was something called the problem child, and I was that child. We went to family counseling in order to, as I felt, fix me. Rather than addressing the toxic family dynamic, all visits were about fixing me. It turns out that all it took was cutting my abusive, physically and emotionally unavailable father. Problem solved. So I think that if the family goes to therapy, OP might feel like they were trying to fix her. OP, I'm sorry that you're going through this, and you are definitely not the asshole. Anyway guys, I think that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you did like it, tell me what you thought about it down in the comments below, and make sure to just interact with everyone in this community. I love each and every one of you that I get to see on a daily basis. And don't forget, if you are a Patreon subscriber, I love you. You're on the screen right now with the YouTube members as well. If you see yourself, give yourself a pat in the back. You guys help me continue this YouTube journey. You keep me going. I see you guys everywhere. I see your messages, and thank you so much for supporting me. I really love every single one of you. But with that all said, I'm going to be signing off now, guys. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.